Agwan. I'd like to say greetings to everyone. I'd like to spread the message of the divine to everyone. Pay attention and tune in. If you are new to Mahayogi, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you can get access to future uploads. Make sure that you subscribe as well. And keep the likes up. Our topic for today is going to answer most of your questions with regards to life and the causes of suffering. Tune in for this lesson. As you would like to ask, Mahayogi is a YouTube channel dedicated to the spreading of awareness of spiritual knowledge from different traditions and sources, dedicated to spread the practice of magic, address the misunderstandings surrounding spirituality, and making you sovereign over your life. I am Mahayogi, a fellow occult practitioner, and today we will talk about the causes of suffering and the causes of evil as they are related. So, the causes of suffering are as follows. But before we go into the causes of suffering, let me give you an idea as to what you truly are, as to who you truly are. You are a soul living in a human body. A human body is like a costume, as BK Shivani would like to elaborate. The human body is akin to the garments that we wear every day. The human body is designed to teach the soul lessons about everything basically. So we are not actually the physical body. We are this energy that is indestructible, that is so complex for me to even elaborate and understand. So complex to a point whereby, apart from this physical body, there are other several, if not more, bodies that are actually part of you. You have the mental body, the causal body, the etheric body, the astral body, and so on and so forth. It is said that these bodies actually have their frequencies in your aura. By checking into a person's aura, you can tell the person's development or the person's vibrational frequency. So these bodies, and as you might know, the aura is quite vast, it's quite big. It is said that the aura stretches over kilometers or miles that cannot be understood, or rather it stretches far than we can ever imagine. Namaste Xolo Luthuli. Nice to see that the South African sisters and brothers are joining us on this spiritual path. For those of you who are in South Africa and would like to join my group chat, simply message me at 062, no, not 062, it's 065 220 0986. Those of you from South Africa can do that and join my group. Anyway, The soul is incomprehensible in that aspect. It's quite vast. It's also very small. It cannot be calculated. Another example of the complexity of the soul is that there are particles like atoms and subatoms. Even such atoms can never pass through a physical object like the wall. There's something much more subtle. I forgot what they call it. But that subtle aspect can pass even through the thickest wall of lead. Lead is iron, or lead is a metal. So a metal as thick as a wall can be passed through by this subatom. This indicates of our nature, which is the soul. The soul then, because it's complete, it's all-knowing, it then splits itself to have, I see Neo Soul blessing, greetings, namaste. It then takes a form in this physical body to further undergo different lessons at different levels of vibration. This is what we call the human body. So now the causes of suffering for the human body are as follows. As the soul goes into this physical body, because it's perfect, it has to slow the vibration and forget some of the information, because as an organism, a human body, the information carried by the soul would be too heavy for the human body. So then it forgets its true nature along the way, because it starts to mistaken this human body for its identity. It starts to mistaken the roles it plays on earth for its identity. You be like, no, I'm Mahayogi here on earth. I dress up in a certain way. I work a certain job. I like certain things. I dislike certain things. So what am I saying? Once you have certain personality traits about you, you start to mistaken them for your identity. No, I don't eat Doritos because they treat me a certain way. Saying me, I in this physical body, you eventually end up forgetting your true identity. People, please keep the likes up. Make sure that you like so that the live stream can be shared amongst other viewers. Yezeme. So you start to mistaken your identity for that of the physical body. And then what happens? You start to have wrong knowledge, or you start to have avidya. In Sanskrit, they call it avidya. Vidya is knowledge or wisdom. Having the prefix of, it means unknowledgeable or not knowledgeable or ignorant. So you start to have avidya. Avidya, just like other characteristics of thought and other characteristics of karma, avidya goes along with its friends. From avidya comes this attachment to a certain personality. Because I don't know my true self, I think that my true self is wearing these glasses, having dreadlocks. I'm wearing this blazer. I start to mistaken it to that, and then I attach to it. That's the friend of avidya. And by attaching to it, I develop a survival mechanism. Out of what? Out of fear. So avidya, the attachment and fear, they go mano a mano. Hi Gloria, I hope you are well. I hope everyone is well, by the way. If you do have questions, you can just send them through and then I'll answer them. So avidya is friends with attachment with this survival mechanism, which is due to fear of losing yourself. So we have avidya, we have attachment, we have fear. And then you start to have different perceptions about yourself. I dress such and such a way because such and such a reason. And that is delusion. You start to delude yourself over this matrix, which is moha or mohan. You start to be deluded with this false identity. I like Hindus a lot because they break this down so well. And Buddhism, certain parts of Buddhism. So yes, you start to develop moha, which is delusion. And now, because you have to defend this identity, you have what we call anger, which is krodha. You have this anger to defend all these things. So these things have their root cause in avidya, the wrong knowledge of self. I hear someone is coming. Okay, let me attend them. It's a customer. Hello. So yes, we have what we call avidya. And then from avidya we have these friends, which are krodha, moha, and then we have what's the other one? It's lobha. I forgot what is lobha. I'm sorry. So these all have their root cause in avidya. And then this is where the suffering begins. You understand? And then when the suffering begins, because your soul is similar to a magnet, it attracts, or rather your thoughts are similar to a magnet. So each and every action that you do in this universe, it's like you are sending a message. It's a gesture, as they would call it, a mudra. It's an attitude, basically, that you send to the universe. So because you are in a conversation with the same, you get feedback, right? And then when you get feedback, you start to have this back and forth with the universe. And then having this back and forth, with the universe is what we call karma. For the causes of your actions, or rather as a result of your actions, or as your of your causes, which are your karmas, you have certain reactions. So now you are in a conversation, a long conversation with the universe, having this back and forth. Basically, it's karma. These things, they attach to certain parts of your soul, because I don't want to say to your soul, to certain parts of your soul. Like how? Suppose I come to earth and I have a certain demeanor about myself, I have a certain perception about life. Wait, let me attend this quickly. Video. So yes, you were in a constant conversation with the. I'm sorry about that. So you are in a constant back and forth with the. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, guys. I hope this was muted so that you didn't listen to my conversation about this. So yes, as I was saying, you are in a constant back and forth with the universe. You are in a conversation with the universe. So you do an action, you get a reaction. Do an action, you get a reaction. That is karma. So over time, that gets accumulated or attached to certain parts of your soul. Certain parts of your soul, like how? Here's an example. If you lead a stressful life, you start to have high blood pressure. And then from high blood pressure, you can have stroke, you can have cardiac arrest or heart diseases. It all began with what? Being stressful or leading a stressful life. So this stress attaches to a certain part of your body, which is your heart area, right? Or your heart center, spiritually to your heart center, your heart chakra. And then it causes an energetic blockage. So the energy doesn't circulate as it should circulate in the soul, basically. So it should circulate and it's not circulating. There's a blockage there. So karma attaches to certain parts of your soul in that way. So now what happens when you die or when the physical body dies? You discard the costume from which you were living into another one. And then because these karmas are stuck on your soul, you start to do the same thing even in the next life. Suppose maybe you died, you had a desire for a certain lady, and then you don't get to be with that lady. That energy gets stuck in your certain chakra, and then it sends out energy into the universe, and then you get born in the next life where you are able to get that lady. And because this lady is also a soul, you will find yourself being drawn to somebody in the next life. You don't know why. It feels familiar. It feels like heaven. It feels like you are soulmates. It's due to that. Certain energy gets stuck in certain energy centers. Keep the likes up. There's 4 of you in here. I expect a like from all of you. So yes, it gets stuck in there, and then you find yourself in another body trying to fulfill the karmas of your past. And I'm saying this, I do not want to talk about the website. I do not want to give it out carelessly because there's powerful information there. There's a website where I got this story from. So there was an experiment that was done to animals. They were torturing them, if I'm not mistaken, due to the mistakes of what they were doing, basically. So they were given a test, and then if they don't pass the test, they would be persecuted or punished. And then what happened? They gave them a test, the animals, and then they failed, and then they were punished, and then they remembered that if they fail, the resulting action would be punishment. This is when they remembered not to do the mistakes that they were doing. You understand? So they became better and better and more efficient at what they were being tested on. So they were being tested and they became better and efficient. They ended up not making mistakes. Why am I talking about this story? Simply because when your soul comes to earth in a different body, what happens is that the memory gets erased. It gets erased, I do not know by who. So in certain aspects of spiritual knowledge, they say that it's vital that our soul forgets certain things or certain traumas because it wouldn't survive knowing them consciously. Suppose maybe you had a traumatic death in the past, and then you come in the next life, you keep on having these recurring visions of that. It's too much for your soul at some point, basically. So that's what they were saying basically when they say that some traumas are not to be remembered. And then in some aspects of spiritual knowledge, like Gnosticism, there is a villain god, an antagonist god, who is called a demiurge, who is called Yaldabaoth. So Yaldabaoth in Gnosticism is said to be working with or working for the Matrix because he wants to stay in power. He then does these things like removing our memory, trapping us in this reincarnation so that we can serve the Matrix and empower him, basically. So in Gnosticism, they say that the removal of memory is being done purposely to trap souls and keep them to come on earth to enslave these souls, to get them to be working forever and ever. So this is where it goes back to avidya, the cause of suffering. Because you don't know what happened in the past life, you don't know yourself, you forgot yourself, you keep on doing these mistakes that will further entrap you in this wheel of sanskara. No, not sanskara. In this wheel of samsara. Because you keep on forgetting, you get trapped in this cycle of samsara. So avidya or ignorance is very, very vital in advancing yourself as a soul. Only when you start to know and you become knowing will you advance. So the solution to all suffering is knowledge. Knowledge of your true self, knowledge of your past lives, and such. Because karma attaches to the soul and then puts you in a pattern of self-sabotage to a point whereby you can't escape reincarnation. And I hope you do understand this. Karma is also responsible for this poverty that we see all over, for this violence that we see all over, for this basically all kinds and all of suffering karma is responsible for. And all those sufferings have their root cause in avidya, wrong knowledge, or ignorance. So with that being said, when you have a certain perception about your life, because perception is a thought or an opinion, the universe doesn't distinguish or discriminate between the thoughts that you have and your opinions. It is always creating. And then now you are exposed to certain people that have certain ideas about life. Money doesn't grow on trees. This economy is bad. VAT is going up. That means we are going to be taxed. The president is not doing his job. The past was so much better than now. The past government, which was a white supremacist ruler, was better than what we have nowadays. These things, because they vocalize them out, thought words are like an externalized aspect of thought. So instead of keeping that energy into yourself and manifesting it for yourself, you say it out, it attaches to people's aura, it goes into other people's minds, and then that person starts to change their thinking around that input of thought. And then you also start to think the same way. And then you are influenced by the environment and your fellow human beings. And then you start using your mind power, or the power of your soul power, to create a life of hell on earth. So we need to be very, very careful about who we associate ourselves with. And certain perceptions we associate ourselves with because they hinder the type of life or the type of lessons we are meant to have here on earth. And because you have karmas of your own that attracted you this current life, that karma also has its own friends, which is what the accompanying thoughts, the accompanying environment, the accompanying types of souls that will further help you to perpetuate this miserable reality that you have. Because remember, you are a magnet, you are attracting your karma. And your karma, because it's a thought has characteristics of duplicating itself. You end up attracting other friends of that karma, like the aforementioned people who speak like that. Money is very hard to get these days. We need to save every penny. The economy is bad. Those are the type of things I'm talking about. We need to affirm to ourselves, we need to affirm to ourselves the right thoughts that we want for ourselves. What that idiot is saying. We need to affirm the right words for ourselves to create the right life, or the life that we want, basically. When you say affirmations of positivity, not only are you changing your mindset, because these words are energy, and it's positive energy that you say. Okay, what language is that, sir? Sorry. Anyway, with that being said, affirmations not only change your perception, But these are energies and they attach to certain pathways in your astral or spiritual bodies. So they clean these dirty karmas that we have, these past life impressions that we carried. Yes, I can't even read that. I'm sorry, what language is that? Hey, Twana tseba fit. Di bua jwang? Anyway, they then oppose these karmas that you have. They clean. What language is that, sir? I see that it means hello, guys. What language is that, and where are you from? Chubas 93, and greetings to you. Greetings to you too. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? So these affirmations then purify your soul basically, because they fight against these negatives. All right, thanks for tuning in. So they purify, they fight off these impressions that you had in your past life, these impressions that you have with people around you, these impressions, general impressions that you get from the world and the external world, basically. So it's a very, very sensitive subject. We need to be careful about what we say to ourselves. We need to be careful. Guys, I'm not smoking crystal. It's just that my lips, when I speak too much, because they are big, just like my nose, I start to have these crystal things, but I don't smoke anything. I don't drink anything except for cold drink and water. So yes, you start to you need to be careful about your words, your thoughts. We need to place ourselves in a state of mind whereby we achieve what we want. What else did I want to address? If you are accustomed to chanting mantras, if you have an experience in chanting mantras, you can testify this as to what I'm saying about words being an energy. Guys, the wrong words can literally mess you up. Anyway, we've come to the conclusion of the video. These are the causes of suffering. Okay, let me find the translator. 4 squares. Yes, me. I know that. Maybe we check it out. Make we check it out. Make we check it out. Right. On my phone, okay. I'll do that later. I'll do that later. So we need to be careful of our speech. We need to be careful of our thoughts, because they can either cause suffering or can give you heaven on earth. As you can see, I'm in heaven. I'm wearing shades in the night. I'm also wearing my blazer. The only thing that I don't have now is a female. But yes, it can be organized. I'm in heaven basically. And I know I joke a lot and I talk all these rubbish things. I need to change that, guys. Don't make me your example and think that your soul tolerates jokes. It can't tell between a joke and a real thing. It can't tell that the difference from now, future, and the past. There's no time. It's all happening all at once. So we need to be careful. Om Namah Shivaya, Asenest Fire, Mahayogi Deyapan, YouTube channel. Seme ase fantastique. Nice. I think I like this guy, Chubas 93 Roblox. Fantastique. Wait, let me check. Wagwande. So guys, to reach me, you can either email me. You are no longer 6, bruh. I think I know you. You are no longer 6. I think you are turning 9, if not 10, next year. Anyway, with that being said, you can reach me on my email, which is asenest.fya@gmail.com. Leave a question in the comments. I'll answer it. If you want to learn more about magic courses, spiritual courses, and all that stuff, numerology readings, learning more about yourself as a soul, and trying to get a clear understanding as to why you are here on earth, also email me on the aforementioned email address, which is asenest.fya@gmail.com.